Hey guys, it's Chris here from Linkin Airsoft, and for today's video I have a couple of tips and tricks for anyone out there looking to play in the backwoods of their home, their friend's house, their family's house, or any kind of private property that isn't exactly built for airsoft. Me personally, I grew up playing in the backwoods of my parents' house, and we live on like very mountainy terrain, so it's very cragged, downhill, slopes, rocks, stumps, trees, ditches, trenches. It's just an unsafe environment to play in. But I have a couple of things that I've done that I want to pass on to you that you can do to make it much more enjoyable if that's the only option you have. Of course, if I could recommend anything to you guys, I would say try to play in any kind of actual airsoft arena, one that you can pay to get into. It's usually very safe, and obviously it's more flat ground than usual. But if you don't exactly have that luxury, like me, then this is what I have to offer. First of all, for whatever equipment that you need to be running if you're playing, I would always invest in a pair of boots. Get yourself some ankle-high boots, something that goes over your ankle, a little bit up, to protect you from rolling your ankle, to protect you from catching rocks and sticks and anything on your legs that might injure you or cause you to fall and get hurt. So good grounded waterproof boots will definitely go a long way. Trust me, I pushed it off for a long time, but it's well worth the investment. Next, I want to say that if you can, get some elbow pads and knee pads, because when you're out there in the woods like that and you have to quickly duck behind cover or you have to get behind a tree, anything like that, you could smash your knee, smash your elbow on a rock, a branch, or even some kind of maybe broken glass that might be out there, or broken cans, or something like that that might be in the woods that you didn't know was there, and you just rush down to get into position, and you crouch down onto a knee to get into a battle position, and you smash your knee on a rock. You would love to have that extra protection. And of course, that stuff is fairly inexpensive. You can get it on Amazon for like 10 bucks. I would highly recommend doing it, though it may look goofy if you're out there in a t-shirt and elbow pads and knee pads, you know what I mean? But still, safety first when playing in the woods. I can't stress that enough. I've gotten hurt. I've seen friends get hurt from playing in the woods. And the terrain I play in, if you guys saw my recent gameplay videos, you'll see that what kind of terrain I'm playing in. It's very uneven, lots of ditches, lots of rocks. It's just unsafe to move around in. So take it slow, take it cautious, and have proper equipment. Now, when you are playing in the woods, there are a couple of things to look out for. Like I already said, rocks and stuff like that are a big danger because they could be covered in grass, moss, leaves. They could be hidden, so always just kind of watch where you're going when you're walking out there. But also, if it's private property or maybe your family's property, make sure you're on the lookout for barbed wire, especially if you're up in like the northeastern states, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maine, even New Jersey or something, Connecticut, Vermont, states like that. Look out for barbed wire. A lot of people have private properties, a lot of people have stone walls that divide property lines, and a lot of people lay out barbed wire that have been there for 100+ years to mark the edge of their property. So what I would do is get a can of, say, blue spray paint. It stands out pretty well. Go out there in the woods, and if you can't remove the barbed wire, mark it. Mark it so people know it's there. Stab a soda can into the barbed wire so you can see where it is, and make sure that when the people are going to play with you, they are aware that there is barbed wire potentially out there to always be on the lookout for. I have landed on barbed wire. I have personally landed on barbed wire before. I have gone to place my hand on a rock and pressed my hand into barbed wire. I had gloves on, luckily, so I didn't hurt myself, but it can be very dangerous. You could trip over it and rip your leg up. You know, there's a lot of ways you can hurt yourself. There's a lot of ways that you don't want to figure out every single way to hurt yourself with barbed wire, especially when you're running around with expensive airsoft. Another thing that I want to suggest is to definitely be on the lookout for low-hanging branches. If there's a lot of dead trees, or just depends on what type of tree it is. I'm not a tree guy, but if you see some trees that are basically eye level when it comes to their branches, or even some little stubby branches on them that have been broken off previously, I would suggest getting a crowbar, a big metal bar or something, going through, and if the tree is dead, smashing those branches, making the tree trunk flush and smooth, so that way you don't go to press your back up against a tree and end up impaling yourself on a branch, or that way you're not turning around, you know, trying to look around and getting a branch, knocking your goggles off, potentially going underneath them and hitting you in the eye, or just jabbing into your cheek. I've had a branch jab into my cheek and poke a hole in it before, not all the way through, but it was like I was bleeding. So it can be very dangerous to have low-hanging branches when you're playing. Not to mention, they just provide a lot of obstacles for you to shoot your BBs in. If you are playing in a very dense wooded area, removing a lot of those low-hanging branches will make playing a lot easier. You can see for further distances, everything's more clear. If there's movement, you're going to catch it, and you'll have less obstacles to shoot through with your BBs. Now, of course, I mentioned this before, but I want to emphasize it again. Be on the lookout for any kind of scrap metal or broken glass or cans or anything like that that might be on the ground that you can remove if possible, or at least mark to let people know that this is here. If there's, you know, a broken picture frame, or maybe just some junk metal out there that can cut you, that can hurt you, so be on the lookout for that. It's all about your safety, guys. And also, I mean, if you're playing in a wooded area, make sure that it's not really within looking distance from the road or other people's property. You don't want to have any kind of issues with the police being called for watching you guys going out there with guns. You don't want that. So if you do play on close enough to somebody else's property, make some boundary markers to not get near their property, and at least inform them that, hey, if you see us out in the woods, we are playing airsoft, just to let you know nothing's wrong, nobody's hurting anybody, and there's no threat of gun violence. So make sure that if you are playing nearby any of your neighbors or just other people, just let them know to the best of your ability that you are playing airsoft. And definitely go through and get some plow poles, those orange fiber plow poles. Get those from any kind of like Home Depot or Lowe's or some kind of little like farm and home place, and just stab those in the woods. Make some boundary markers with that. Use some spray paint on trees if you can, if you're allowed to. Just try to mark off some boundaries so that way you don't go too far in the woods. You avoid areas that may potentially have animal dens, because you definitely want to look out for that. You do not want to be in the middle of an airsoft game and wander across a bear den. That's the last thing you want. So make sure you try to mark the field and let everyone know. If you can get an overhead shot on Google Maps, try to maybe print out a map and draw an outline of it. But for me, in my case, the trees are too thick up near the top, so I can't see my actual play area from Google Maps. So unfortunately, I just kind of have to go through and mark everything to the best of my ability. And also, pretty much last thing I want to talk about is what you can do to actually improve your playing area. If you're just playing in the woods, obviously you have trees and rocks and trunks for cover, but you also maybe want to set up your own stuff. So what I would suggest is maybe get some plywood, some just some planks, some plywood, maybe some like an old big street sign or something that's been thrown away from like a junkyard or something. Even just cardboard. Don't litter. Try to clean up if you can, the best you can. Don't bring trash out there and leave it out there. You know, that's bad. But try to bring easily movable stuff that you can clean up. So if you have like if you have some pallets you could possibly get from a friend or your family, or that you can personally acquire, pallets are always good for cover. Try to set up some cardboard boxes, just lay them there, put some rocks on them so they don't fall over, get blown away by wind or knocked over. It's some good cover as long as you clean up after. You get some plywood, lean them up against a tree. Even just go through with those branches that you cleared out that you were chopping down from trees. You're breaking the branches. Collect any branches you find on the ground, any brush and branches, and build your own walls out of them. That's what I do. I go and I collect a bunch of branches, a bunch of logs, fallen trees, and I try to arrange them in a small, waist-high barrier that people can crouch behind. You know, there's a bunch of ways you can customize your airsoft field and try to keep it, make it your own, and maybe even try to draw out a little bit of a map and make a base camp, make enemy sides, make capture points. It depends on how much area you're working with, but when it comes to stuff like that, you know, there are endless possibilities of backwoods airsoft, but endless amounts of danger to go with that, so you always have to be careful, guys. That's really it for this video. Just a couple of quick tips. If you have any suggestions for me or other people, let me know in the comment section down below. Share this with a friend. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more. Check out my gameplay footage. Check out my website, lincolnslegion.com, and I will hopefully see you guys in the next video.